who caught his wife cheating on him with a coworker of hers. My wife and I have been married for slightly more than 3 years now. Last Christmas, I found she had been having a long conversation with a coworker of hers, in which they talked about having had made love multiple times, and that they couldn't wait for the next one. The guy said he was going to book a hotel near their office right after Christmas. In this conversation, when he said he was looking forward to seeing my wife, she would reply with things like, "I'm looking forward to much more than just seeing you," etc. You get the idea. Overly flirty and sexual. When I confronted my wife, she denied the conversation existed. After deleting it, she showed me her phone to prove it didn't exist, but I had taken a few pictures. She then said it was all virtual and that they never did anything physical. To prove she was right, she messaged her coworker in front of me, asking if he had booked the hotel. He replied not yet. She then asked if he was really expecting them to meet, to which he replied negatively. She promised they would never talk again and I agreed, simply because I love her a lot and wanted to trust her, but in my mind I wasn't completely sure she had been honest. For a few weeks, I must admit I checked her phones a few too many times, so she changed her password, which I was fine with because I was probably being too paranoid. This week, I picked her phone up because I needed a code that had been sent to her phone number. I didn't even need to unlock the screen to get it. To my surprise, under the message with the code there were other messages from the same guy. One of them was an audio, the second one was a shirtless photo of himself in front of a mirror, and the third one said sweaty and a few emojis with the tongue. I confronted her since she had promised they wouldn't talk ever again, and she said he just wanted to show her he's going to the gym to show progress, but that the rest of the times they talk it's just about work, and that this is just a coincidence. I asked her to show me the rest of their messages, but she said she had mistakenly deleted their conversation history. My wife says she's going to change this time and that I never really forgave her, and that's why she kept talking to the guy. She says this time she's really going to stop, but I have a hard time believing it. Or even if she does stop, I fear when things don't go so well between us she'll do it again. I really love her but can't keep living like this. Is there any situation in which this can work? What would you do? Clearly the wife has no real intentions on being faithful. Even if this had just been flirty non-physical messaging, it still crosses a line, in my opinion. OP, don't let this keep happening, because it will. She will say over and over again that it won't. It will. She will just get better at hiding it by changing his name in her phone, or using a different app to talk to him. Oh, and the fact that she somehow tried to turn the fact that she still talks to him back onto you. That shows she was grasping for an excuse, and that is a crappy one. Not your fault. It is her fault and she apparently takes zero responsibility for it, which is concerning. You deserve love, not this. You've been married 3 years and you don't mention kids, so I'm assuming you don't have any. Consider yourself lucky, dude. She's cheating on you. A lot of people cheat, most don't get caught. Consider yourself lucky, again, that you don't have to take her word for it because the evidence you found is clear-cut. She may eventually admit, she may not. No matter, you have your answer. Get a lawyer. You know your marriage is over and you can never trust her again, right? Book an appointment with a therapist. A video chat appointment is better than none at all. And even if you have never had therapy before, you would be surprised by how settled you can feel after opening up to someone about how badly you have been hurt. And they will help you see the light at the end of the tunnel. And in your case it's a life without someone who is pretending to love you, while deceiving you to serve their own purposes. You really should leave. Your wife is lying to you for sure. I would venture to say that they have hooked up and had sex. But here is the thing. Even if she is being honest with you and she has never met this man outside of work, first she still presumably sees him at work. I will let your mind wander. Also, she lied to you when confronted about the situation. She was carrying on an emotional affair with this guy and didn't feel any guilt or remorse. In fact, she went back to doing it again after she told you she wouldn't let it happen any longer. Now that to me is being very charitable to her. Ask yourself what you are willing to live and put up with. Do you want to look back 3 to 10 years from now when she serves you with divorce papers because she just isn't happy and texting some guy isn't getting it done anymore? I don't know, this is how I see it with all of my wisdom. I truly wish you luck, my friend. You asked her about it and she said that it didn't happen. That was a lie. You then tell her that you have photographic evidence and poof, suddenly her story changes. Your wife has lied, then made up more lies to cover up her lies, and you are asking if you should believe her. I cannot believe that you would consider her trustworthy about anything. Update: my brain just couldn't overcome the catastrophe and the collapse of the world I had built for me, in which my wife is my love, my best friend and partner, as well as the person I admire the most. She was entirely perfect and made me happy for many years. I thought no couple in the world could have what we had. We were both very happy for a long time. We were both attractive, we were both inherently good, had big hearts, and were individually wildly successful in our careers. After the Reddit post, I moved to an Airbnb and eventually with family to think things through. It was a terrible time, but a psychologist helped me recover from a terrible mental state. It coincided with the pandemic hitting very hard in my city. I caught the virus, which didn't help. During this time, we kept talking and my wife was very sorry and continued saying they hadn't met. I knew it wasn't true but was willing to forgive the woman of my dreams, who continued being in the highest altar of my universe. Fast forward last Saturday morning, I went back to our place, ready to forgive her and talk things through in the most mature way possible. And well, there she was, but I was the one who received the biggest surprise, to say the least. The guy was in my house without any clothes, and so was my wife. The guy from the messages, the guy from the pics, the one she said she didn't even like. I caught him hiding in my bathroom as my wife was putting her pajamas on. When I saw him hiding in my bathroom, he uttered, "Sorry dude." For a second I asked myself, is this where I kill him? But I instantly replied, I got nothing against you, because the guy was just nailing this hot woman. Even if he was doing so in a house full of pictures of me. Pictures of our wedding and our families. Pictures of my dead father, who would be so sad to see how the marriage he never witnessed was going to end. He has always been the reason I try to make the world a better place. He passed away 2 months before our wedding. I'm sorry, I still love her to death, but I understand enough is enough. Even if my world collapses, I hope I can build a new one without lies, and in which I'm not just a blind believer under an altar of a fake god. I'm so sorry this happened to you. Whatever you do, do not blame yourself. You are not stupid for trying to make your marriage work, and there is no shame in that. You are not to blame for loving your wife. Know that you are not alone and there is support you can find in friends, family, your therapist for help. No one deserves to have their life crumble down like this. But believe in your inner strength and put the work in to heal yourself, and I know you will pull out of this stronger and wiser and more empathetic than before. I wish you happiness from this day forward. You greatly earned it. I'm sorry you had to find out in the worst way possible. However, I'm extremely proud of you for not beating the guy into a bloody pulp. You are the more mature and bigger person here. File for divorce if you can prove her infidelity so she can't pull anything over on you, since she's a professional liar. Best of luck and may you find true love. About 1.5 years ago, my wife began to overcome some chronic pain that had been really holding her down for years. During this time, she has also been involved in a family business that puts a lot of stress on her. She hates going to work and feels trapped by her family obligations. Also during this time we became empty nesters. As she started feeling physically better, we started going out dancing to various bars in the area with bands. One place in particular really appealed to her, and we brought several sets of friends along to experience it. But none of them were really interested in going back very often. Now, my wife likes dancing more than I do. I enjoy dancing with her, but once or twice a week is sort of enough for me. Long story short, she has been going out some nights without me for a while now, mostly with girlfriends. At one point, this other guy started paying her more attention. She said that she was happy to have a guy friend, and we went round and round about whether it was appropriate. At one point, I happened to see a text come through with the little kissy emoji and called her out on it. She told me that she shut him down saying it wasn't appropriate, and he since got into a relationship with a woman who lives about 3 hours away. He is part of a group of friends, acquaintances that we do things with from time to time. She got into the habit of meeting him for a walk after work on nice afternoons. When our conversations would circle around to him, she always assured me that he knew she was happily married and that she would never do anything other than talk with him. Last night though, she went out to the Sunday band at this bar down the road. She said that she was meeting a girlfriend, who I know, and that she was planning to be home early because she has a big work week starting today. A bit after 10, she texted that the music was over and they were hanging out chatting. I had been doing laundry, so got the text about half an hour later and said, "Great drive safe. Will do." I went to bed and woke up around 1:45. Texted her asking if she was okay. Yes, heading home. At 2:40, I texted tonight. Yes. At 4 I called her phone and it went to voicemail. She called back in a few minutes and said that she fell asleep at some woman's house where they went to hang out. She got home 20 minutes later, came and gave me a kiss on the forehead. I was awake in bed. I just gave her a sort of gruff hello, and she ended up curled up going to sleep on the couch downstairs. I went down and gave her a hug and asked if she understood why I was upset. She said, "Yes, and I'm so sorry, and I didn't want to keep you up." I told her I hadn't slept since I woke up hours ago anyway, and she might as well come to bed. She cuddled up next to me and fell asleep. In the morning, she got up before me and basically gave a quick kiss going out the door. I saw that she had done a small load of laundry with just her clothes from the night before. I have purposefully given her digital privacy, but during the night I admit I checked her iPad messages. There didn't seem to be any on Messenger. When I got to work, I pulled up our cell phone account that I manage and looked at her text log. I ran a reverse phone number search to ID the most often texted number and found that it did belong to the guy she had texted with him before she left to go out, right before she left to come home, and first thing in the morning. I looked back further and found that she often texted with him before bed, and first thing in the morning when she typically has her coffee. The real gut punch though was when I looked at the call logs. Multiple calls per day with him for weeks, including long calls, some over an hour. I texted her at work and asked how her day was going. Awful on many levels. I deserve it. I told her that we needed to talk and suggested meeting after work before we go home. Okay. Rechecked the call log and saw 2 calls to the guy this morning, one before I texted her and one after. I am just heartbroken and feel like I'm going to be sick. I do love her, but looking back over the past months, I did feel her pulling away. I'm guilty of being online too much in the evenings, but in the past we've always had a solid couple of hours of reconnecting at home after work. Lately, we have been getting home later and skipping a traditional dinner, so we haven't had that daily time consistently. What in the world am I going to say to her tonight? I can't imagine living with anyone else, but I don't know if I can get past this. If anyone has advice on how to approach the worst conversation I've ever had, I would love to hear it. One thing is to be very careful disclosing how much you know. It's always best to ask and then be silent. I would personally look into hiring a PI for a short time and see how things go with something discreet. That way you get solid evidence and don't have to worry about gaslighting. And yeah, it doesn't look good. She is most likely having an emotional affair with this man, if not a physical one. Start with the end in mind. What are you looking to get out of the conversation? Truth, contrition, explanation. Odds are that she'll deny anything inappropriate happened. Cheaters always do. Knowing that, where do you want the conversation to go? Are you trying to go from 99% to 100%? If you do, what then? Getting to 100 is fairly easy. Just ask to see her phone. If she's deleted the messages, you'll have your answer. If she has and you still want to see them, there are programs that will recover deleted messages off of a phone. If you tell her that, chances are she'll cop to it. You don't really need that though. You already know what happened and who it happened with. What you need to decide is if it's quiet trying to work past. Don't let her turn it around on you. If she gets mad you looked at her call record. You have the proof that she's at least being inappropriate with this friend. She does not care about your feelings because you already told her their relationship makes you uneasy. And she's not only continued it, they have increased the communication. Stay strong. Put your foot down with this guy. I'm sure she'd be upset if you were talking to another woman this much. It's not your fault. You both could do better, but would you cheat? Cheaters will give all sorts of excuses for their behavior. Pay no attention to any of it. She's cheating on you. It doesn't even matter if it was emotionally or physically. My bet is that it's both. Adults F. She must be having an emotional affair with that man, if not physical one, and it is worse than physical one. So you should leave her over this if the cheating is a deal breaker thing for you. She sounds smart, so I do not think you can find proofs. So take a decision considering your gut feeling, as you know she is cheating on you. My advice is to not blame yourself for her behavior. Sure, maybe you've been a little disconnected or feel like you could have given her more time, but none of that will ever justify cheating on a spouse. So don't let it get to that point, either in your mind or in your conversation with her.